This week, North Carolina Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson found himself in hot water again after confronting the Democratic lawmakers in the hallways of the state capitol in Raleigh. During a speech on the Senate floor, State Senator Julie Mayfield called out elected officials who speak out against minority communities. And she didn't mention Robinson by name during her remarks, but said elected officials should have respect for all their constituents, even the ones that don't vote for them. After the Senate session, Robinson caught up with Mayfield outside the chamber. State Senator Natasha Marcus from Mecklenburg County caught it all on camera.
Next time, before you get ready to say something on that floor, come see me.
I don't think it matters.
Does she have to ask you before she speaks? Is that what you're saying?
Now, for some context, folks, Robinson, a Republican, has been under fire over the past few months for comments he's made about the LGBTQ community at churches and conservative gatherings.
There's no reason anybody anywhere in America should be telling any child about transgenderism, homosexuality, any of that filth.
Any of that filth. That was back in June, but video surfaced in October. Despite calls for him to resign or tone down the rhetoric continued last month.
Let's look at it this way. Gay couple, straight couple, dark room. 9 months later, gay couple, 2 people. 9 months later, heterosexual, 3 people. These people are superior because they can do something these people can't do. Because that's the way God created it to be.
Now, Robinson has insisted his anti-LGBTQ rhetoric is targeted at gay-themed books that he wants out of school libraries and isn't against any individuals. And we should say that we have reached out to his office twice in the last 2 weeks, and we've gotten no responses, hoping that he might come on Flashpoint and further sort of explain his beliefs. Log cabin Republicans here in North Carolina issuing this statement saying the rhetoric is unacceptable. Joining us today is the president of the North Carolina Log Cabin Republicans, Kyle Luebke. Kyle, thanks for coming on again. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Let me get your response. I read the statement earlier from Log Cabin Republicans, but I want to get your response on the record about Mark Robinson and some of the things the Lieutenant Governor has said over the last few months, because it started out as one statement, but now there's been multiple statements.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, when the first statements came out a couple of months ago, Log Cabin Republicans very much viewed that as being about sexually explicit materials in public schools, and given the context of those statements. And we had an opportunity to meet with the Lieutenant Governor and really hash out what he was meaning when he made those comments, and we had a really productive conversation with him right after that happened. The statements that we have seen recently from the church in Winston-Salem, those went in a completely different direction, in a direction that was unacceptable and was demeaning to LGBTQ people across the state. And really what we care about as the Log Cabin Republicans is we would just hope that the Lieutenant Governor understands his role, not only as the Lieutenant Governor who represents every single North Carolinian, whether they are straight, gay, trans, or cis. Well, we also expect the Lieutenant Governor to recognize that he represents the Republican Party, and the Republican Party of 2021 is not one that accepts demeaning language about gay people or trans people. And, you know, it doesn't matter if you're in a church pulpit or if you're at a different public event speaking to a group of voters. You know, you are representative of your office, you are representative of the state, and you know, he needs to conduct himself accordingly.
Let me get some clarification here, because you say that you all had a productive conversation after the first statement and that you felt pretty good about it, it seems. So then, was it not as productive as you thought?
You know, I'm not going to delve into exactly the conversation that we had, but I can say that we came you know, away from that conversation heartened that he understood that LGBT people are a valuable part of the Republican Party, and that, you know, there are many LGBTQ conservative voters. And, you know, we were heartened from that conversation. And that's why when he made the second comments at the church in Winston-Salem, we issued a very strong statement against those comments, because those comments were just unacceptable and really did not comport with the person that I met with in Raleigh at the Lieutenant Governor's Mansion.
Where do you guys go from here? Are you still trying to continue dialogue with him? Or, I mean, it's hard when I know you guys are fighting for conservative values, but if you're fighting within the party, it's never advantageous, at least for party leadership.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, we are continuing the conversation. We are hoping to speak with his office sooner rather than later to further that dialogue. Because in reality, you know, making strongly worded statements opposed to particular policy positions like, you know, we did, or like we've seen the Democrats be doing relating to this issue. I mean, the Democrats are fundraising off of this. That's not really changing hearts and minds. And the goal of the Log Cabin Republicans of North Carolina is to show individuals like Lieutenant Governor that though he may have personal religious views that, you know, he is completely within his right to hold, he represents every North Carolinian, and he needs to conduct himself accordingly.
You were at a sort of first of its kind event down at Mar-a-Lago, the former president's place. The former First Lady was honored by a group there. This is sort of a GOP pride event. The former president was there himself. You were there. We're showing some video of it right now. And then the party chairwoman, Ronna McDaniel, got criticized for this event by some Republicans, saying this goes against everything that Republicans believe in. What do you say? There's clearly a back and forth happening in your party, and you clearly have the former president supporting events like that and supporting Republicans like you. But then you clearly have a lot of Republicans out there who don't think there's a place for log cabin Republicans or LGBTQ Republicans, or at least an embrace of them.
Yeah, and you know, I agree. There's been a lot of back and forth, internal struggles within the RNC and among states as well. I would say to that you know, in 2020, the Trump campaign did a first of its kind by engaging with LGBT voters through Trump Pride. We had a Trump Pride event here in Charlotte, and this is just an extension of that. You know, policy changes within the Republican Party happen through dialogue and collaboration and conversation, and bringing more people into the fold just furthers those dialogues and those conversations. And that's what we should be excited about.
Again, we asked the Lieutenant Governor to come on, and we did not hear back from his office. If you had him here, what would you say to him?
What I would say is exactly what I have said previously, and I've said to other media outlets. You know, there is a time and a place for you know, particular rhetoric, and right now he is in a position that is not one that is one where he should be talking about LGBTQ people the way that he has. I would say I respect his religious beliefs. I disagree with his religious beliefs. I have my own religious beliefs about homosexuality, about transgender status, but he is free to have those. But you can have religious beliefs and not approach them in a demeaning way. And I think a good example of this is what's been going on in Utah, and actually the campaign that we just saw in Virginia. So the Log Cabin Republicans nationally, and the Virginia chapter in Richmond, endorsed Glenn Youngkin for Virginia governor. Well, Glenn Youngkin is personally opposed to marriage equality, and that is a personal religious belief that Glenn Youngkin has. But he said that in a respectful way that was said, this is my own personal belief, but marriage equality is the law of the land. That's not something that is going to change. And so that is the kind of, you know, that is the rhetoric that I think is appropriate. And what we have just seen over the past couple weeks is just not rhetoric that is appropriate, and is very demeaning to LGBTQ people.
All right, Kyle Luebke. Kyle, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, more Flashpoint after this.